Happy Thursday morning. Welcome in to another day of Morning Jocks here on JOX 94.5. I'm Conrad Van Order alongside Damian Mitchell here with you for the next hour, getting you set for McElroy and Kublik in the morning, three-man front, and then, of course, the Paul Feinbaum Show to wrap up your day here on JOX 94.5. It is day 2 of the transfer portal window. The second part of the transfer portal window here in the spring as we know it. So it opened up yesterday. We know the big fish was always going to be Nico Iamaleava and what's going on in his situation with Tennessee. So we have a little bit of an update on that. Not a whole lot of traction, at least through day one, as it involves Alabama and Auburn specifically. You'll hear about, a former punter for Kalen DeBoer here. So a couple of guys on the Auburn side. I know Hugh Freeze said they're looking at maybe bringing in some help on the defensive line, some help there in the middle of the defense at the linebacker spot. But we're waiting to see everybody that goes in, everybody that's available. And so we'll keep you up to date on all of that as it progresses. But at least through the first day of the portal, you didn't miss anything really involving either Auburn or Alabama yesterday. So we'll see what today holds. But again, as I mentioned, the big story in the transfer portal continues to be Nico Iamaleava, and reports coming out yesterday evening that it does look like UCLA is ultimately going to be the spot for him. It looks like that deal is not going to be close to the $4 million that he was asking from Tennessee before, or what kind of started this whole situation with the renegotiation of his NIL there in Knoxville. He was asking for $4 million. He was getting what we understand to be about $2.2 million per year. And now it looks like he will be heading back to the West Coast. It's just, what is that dollar amount going to be? I've seen some reports of, 1.5 to 1.7 million, which I think we all agree still maybe is more than he showed that he was worth last year. But at the end of the day, if you're, 20 years old getting paid $1.5 million to play college football, that's you're doing pretty well in life, I would say. Granted that money's going to go a lot less ways in California than it was here in Knoxville, but that is how that situation seems to be going down there. So hopefully today we will be able to get some sort of confirmation from UCLA. And you feel bad for their quarterback, Joey Aguilar, who they had actually brought in through the transfer portal back in December from Appalachian State. So he came over, had the expectation that he was going to be the starter for UCLA this upcoming season. Now the whole Nico situation plays out. And so we have reports that, he has been kind of scrambling around with his representation, trying to find another landing spot for him because he, thought that he was coming there to be the starting quarterback for the UCLA Bruins. And now it looks like Nico is going to take that spot. So again, just an interesting situation that continues to transpire there. And just hearing from, we finally got to hear from, I guess, his representation, his family yesterday in an interview they did with Front Office Sports, where they insisted that they have not given him any bad advice. They don't, they don't understand where that narrative's coming from. The way they see it, they haven't given him any bad advice. And according to Colin Cowherd and some of the information he shared on his program yesterday, he was told that it had nothing to do with money. And it was the fact that Nico and his family just didn't think that the Josh Heupel offense was setting him up for success in the right way. And so they decided to go to UCLA, a school that is replacing essentially all of their weapons from last year and has a very middle-of-the-road, at best, offensive line in the Big Ten. So I think we can all draw our own assumptions from that. But, again, continues to be a wild situation there surrounding Nico and his family, as it looks like he is ultimately going to end up at UCLA. Which is not a huge surprise, but it is also interesting because someone had brought this up yesterday, actually, and they texted it in, but his little brother, Madden, had committed to UCLA this past cycle, and then kind of at the last minute pulled the rug out from under them and went to Arkansas and committed to the Razorbacks, and so he's now there in Fayetteville. but there were some reports coming out that essentially UCLA was uncertain of bringing Nico in because they didn't, know if they could really trust the family, essentially based on what they had just gone through, where they thought they were locked and loaded with Nico's little brother, and then it seems like at the last minute he took a little bit of a cash grab, maybe to go over there to Fayetteville and be here in the SEC. So interesting situation there, but that's the latest on what's going on with Nico. That's the latest from the college football playoff or the college football transfer portal. We still have on the Tennessee side of in terms of who's going to come in to replace him. Avery Johnson continues to be a name that you keep seeing out there. We know another one that we had hit on this earlier in the week briefly, but a player, Josh Hoover from TCU, is a really nice quarterback there for the Horned Frogs. That was another name that was thrown in there. Honestly, it just feels like every Big 12 quarterback essentially has had their name thrown on that list as a potential suitor for or a potential spot for Tennessee there to take over for Nico. But he has decided he is going to stay at TCU, so that is one option off the board for Tennessee. But we will see what names ultimately end up in the transfer portal, because I still do believe that you're going to see a name go in the portal. I believe that maybe we weren't expecting, or just a bigger name than you would have originally thought to see because of this Tennessee situation, and someone that looks at this Josh Heupel team and this offense and goes, yeah, I think that I could go do some damage there and really help myself out, not only from an NIL perspective, but compete to return to a college football playoff and hopefully be developed into an NFL quarterback, as we've seen Josh Heupel do with Hendon Hooker and Joe Milton the last couple of years. And so we'll see what happens there as far as the Tennessee quarterback situation is concerned. But we did have a little action last night. I know it was a big day, a lot of excitement going in to yesterday if you are an Atlanta Braves fan, because it was the return of Spencer Strider, your ace, who unfortunately had gotten injured last year, missed the vast majority of last season, now had to take a little bit of time to come back from Tommy John's, missed the first couple of weeks of this year, but officially back on the mound for the Atlanta Braves yesterday with his very, very fine mustache. Spencer Strider, he goes 5 innings, gives up 2 earned runs, 5 hits, strikes out 5, walks 1 yesterday. But unfortunately for the Atlanta Braves, the bats cooled off, and there just wasn't a whole lot to speak of there offensively. You did have a solo shot in the 9th inning to get yourself on the board, but Vlad Guerrero Jr. doing the damage for the Blue Jays early. He has an RBI single. Then he hit a absolute moonshot in the 6th inning there for Toronto to put him up 2-0. They add another run on a Bo Bichette double there in the 7th inning, and then Braves get a solo shot to get on the board there in the 9th. So Toronto walks away with a 3-1 victory over the Atlanta Braves. Atlanta now falls to 5-13 on the season, 2-11 on the road. So I guess that's your positive, right? If you're a Braves fan, is you are 3-2 at home, but 2-11 on the road. And unfortunately, I mean, we've talked about it again. At this point, you can't make excuses for the Braves. They are more talented than this. They have no excuse to only have 5 wins at this point. But when you played 5 home games compared to 13 road games, and a lot of those came against the Padres, the Dodgers, some of the better teams, not only in the National League, but all of Major League Baseball, throw the Phillies in there as well. Even though the Braves were able to take that series, it's been a rough start for them. So, but hopefully good signs from Spencer Strider yesterday. He looked good pitching for the first time in a year. So there's some signs of optimism there. Acuna is coming back. That is on the horizon for you as well if you were a Braves fan. Austin Riley's been swinging a hot bat lately. I know Matt Olson, he hit a home run the other night, so hopefully that's something that can get him going a little bit there. But yeah, it's been a long road here to start things off for Atlanta, but they will trudge on because it is a long season, and we are only about 10% of the way through it, and still plenty of time for them to turn things around. But you are now going to have an off day if you're in Atlanta, and you are going to return tomorrow at home against the Minnesota Twins. So that's good news for you, getting to go back home and take on a Minnesota Twins team that is, quite frankly, just not very good. So that is your Braves update from what happened last night. Again, no Braves action tonight. They'll be back in action tomorrow as they take on and host the Minnesota Twins there in Atlanta. All right, well, that's a recap of what happened last night on the Diamond. Gave you a little bit of an update on the Nico situation there out of the transfer portal as well. So when we come back here on Morning Jocks, I want to take a look at who are some of the best available players in the transfer portal. Anybody that you think would be a nice addition for Alabama, for Auburn, whoever your favorite team is. So we'll take a look at some of those. Some of them have already found new homes, but we will take a look at what's available out there in transfer portal world and if any of that would be a good fit here on the Plains or in Tuscaloosa. So keep it locked right here. You're listening to Morning Jocks on Jocks 94.5. 6:15. Welcome back in Morning Jocks here on JOX 94.5. Appreciate you joining us here on your Thursday morning. Conrad, Damian, we are here with you till 7 o'clock when we hand you off to the fine folks of McElroy and Kubelik in the morning. So before we went to break, I said we were going to take a look at some of the top players in the transfer portal, and we are going to do that. But before we do that, I did want to get Damian, I wanted to get your thoughts on something with the Nico situation specifically, and that would be, so we had the report that came out yesterday from Colin Cowherd on his show that the Nico decision was not a money thing, it was a system thing, and you are the Heupel disciple. You have been a very big fan of Josh Heupel and what he's done and his offensive scheme and the success that he's had at Tennessee, especially with Hendon Hooker. So I just was wondering from your perspective, and I know your fandom's up in the air right now, so you're still, trying to figure out who you're going to root for this fall. But when you hear that, did you take that personally? When you hear that, oh no, this wasn't a money thing. This was, we don't think Josh Heupel's system is good enough for Nico. He can't thrive in that system.
Yes, I was personally offended. Because
as you should be.
Yeah, when you look at the quarterbacks that Josh Heupel has had, every single one of them have put up numbers in his offense. The offense is tailored for the quarterback to have success. We can count on both hands and probably our feet of the passes that Nico Iamaleava missed. Now, he looked great against the UT Chattanoogas of the world, the NC States. But when they jumped up into the more difficult competition in the SEC, it was the quarterback decision-making that was the issue. The offense was fine. I made a tweet yesterday. I don't think Josh Heupel's intention going into 2024 last year was to have Dylan Sampson carry it, 25, 30 times a game. But he kind of realized, okay, our quarterback is kind of he's kind of the liability as far as a lot of our, a lot of the plays that we can run. Think about, early on in the Alabama game, he airmails, Squirrel White, who's wide open on multiple occasions. In Arkansas, the running game was fine. It's the pass game. And the receivers you had were top-tier quality. That you had, returning Brute McCoy, you had returning Squirrel White, Keiselman, the tight end. You had the pieces. It was the quarterback. It was strictly on the quarterback play the reason why I was so inconsistent. So you can't tell me that the system doesn't work. You look at Dylan Gabriel when he was at UCF. You look at some of the quarterbacks he's had when he was at Oklahoma. Like the offense speaks for itself. When it clicks, it clicks. But a lot of it has to do with what the quarterback does on the football field, and he was more of the liability. At some point, he's got to look himself in the mirror. Like, you were closer to Joe Milton in this offense, and it actually looked better with Joe Milton than it was with the actual five-star freshman, or sophomore at the time, in Nico. So you can't tell me that offense is the problem. It's not. It's the quarterback that was the problem.
And here's my thing is, okay, so if you're looking at this from a standpoint of where can I go to be developed and have a long career playing professional football, why would you want to stick with the guy who's just had his last two quarterbacks drafted and Hendon Hooker and Joe Milton? Hell, the Cowboys just traded for Joe Milton after his rookie year because of how good he looked, in limited action with the Patriots, and they deserve some credit for his development as well. But, that was a guy that coming out of college, we didn't really, we didn't think twice about him because we had seen him in college, and we were like, all right, man, physical traits are off the charts, but the consistency just isn't there. And Josh Heupel turned him into an NFL quarterback. Hendon Hooker, he's in a pretty good situation sitting behind Jared Goff right now, but he turned him into that's a guy that was potentially going to be a first-round pick if he didn't have that injury at the end of his senior season there in Knoxville. Or do you want to go to UCLA and follow in the steps of a DTR or a Brett Hundley? And again, like, okay, UCLA sent some guys to the league. Yeah, Josh Rosen was a top 10 pick. That was fun. We remember that, right? And the hot tub in his dorm room and all that fun stuff. But again, it's why would you want to leave the offensive guy who has a track record of putting together great offenses at UCF and now at Tennessee, putting guys in the NFL? over going to a situation at UCLA where you don't have a very good offensive line. They're having to replace essentially all of their weapons from last year. Their turnover is crazy on the offensive side of the ball. And I mean, you're playing in the Big Ten where, I mean, is anybody expecting UCLA to win more than 7 games maybe next year? I just don't understand the logic of that. Makes no sense. I think we all know that it's a money situation because there's not a situation in the transfer portal right now or in the landscape of college football that's better for Nico than Tennessee.
Exactly.
There's just not.
I said it from the jump. Listen, you were the problem. And that's where it's really mind-boggling of, okay, you can say it's an offensive issue, which is if that's the argument you want to make. What about UCLA's offense makes you think that it's going to be a fit there?
I don't know how you look at that situation and
Right.
think, yeah, I'd rather be in that one.
Right. And, you can't blame it on the recruiting level. Like, Tennessee's been top 15 for the past, 3-4 years. They're getting the guys there. And, again, when the system is made for the quarterback to thrive in and you don't, that's more of a you issue. That's more of a quarterback issue than it is the offensive system, because the system has shown that it's worked year in and year out with people that are quite, less talented than you as well. So I think that if you're Nico, you got to move that pride to the side, man, and just kind of really evaluate your game of where you potentially see yourself. Because if you didn't make it in the system at Tennessee, it's not like I think that UCLA is just going to jump from, 6-7 win team to, competing for a college football playoff spot out of the Big Ten. Like, you're stepping into still tough competition with lesser weapons all around you.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at last year for UCLA and their offense. I mean, quickly. I mean, their quarterback, Ethan Garbers, he threw for 2,700 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. Didn't really do anything with his legs. Their leading receiver was their tight end, who had 500 receiving yards last year. And I mean, granted, again, yeah, okay, a lot of those guys are leaving, so maybe that is a good sign for you. But I don't understand. I mean, their leading receiver that's returning from last year's team had 290 receiving yards last year.
But it's the offense's fault. Come on now.
Yeah,
just say it. To me, it's you asked for $4 million and Tennessee called your bluff, and it's on to greener pastures or not so greener pastures.
I was about to say, just admit that you messed up. And I brought this up on 3 Man Front the other day, and they kind of laughed at me. And then yesterday we went back to it, and it was like, well, maybe is that a possibility? Because I brought this up on Monday or Tuesday, but I said, is there any possibility that he just ends up back at Tennessee? And there's a situation where, and I think that's incredibly unlikely, but just in a situation of, if you're Tennessee and you're like, man, we don't really have a lot of options here in terms of guys we can bring in through the portal. Nico's market is crashing. So if we bring him back for $1 million, right, and you're getting him for half of what you were initially paying him, and it's a situation of, look, this is going to be really awkward, but we offer you the best chance to develop. You offer us the best chance to try to get back to a college football playoff. We're getting essentially a 50% off deal on NIL of what we were paying you. Again, I think that's a highly unlikely scenario, but it just, as this progresses, it doesn't make sense. I don't know how you can look at this situation and not say that this was they fumbled the bag 100%. If you are Nico, if you are his family, his representation, whatever, I just don't know how you can look at this situation and not view it that way. So it's unfortunate. Hate it for him, but at the same time, not really, because he's an adult, and if I'm getting paid $2 million to do something, then I'm going to live with the consequences of my decisions, whether it's mine or what my dad's telling me to do, or my mom or my grandma or whoever. Like,
Exactly.
I'm a grown man. I can stand up for myself and I can speak for myself. And if I can't, then that's on you. So,
and like, how do you? It really grinds my gears when you start talking about the offense. Like, the offense.
Oh, I see. I knew that would drive you crazy.
It's.
I knew that was the one thing that you're like.
I just don't. I cannot
leave the
co-sign
offense
that.
out of it. Leave the offense out of it.
Exactly, because the resume speaks for itself. If you're essentially worth the damn, like, you're going to put up numbers. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. Like, you look at Hendon Hooker. The man threw in the first year of the Tennessee system. The first year he went for 31 touchdowns and 3 interceptions and almost 3,000 yards passing. And then the next year, through 11 games, he had over 3,000 yards passing. A lot of it came against Alabama. And then 27 touchdowns. It's not the system's fault. I promise you. I 100% promise you. It ain't the system that's messing you up. It's between your eyes, it's up in your head and your arm and shoulder. Like, it's on you, because everybody that's ever played in the system has had success. And when they're not successful, it's usually when the quarterback is inaccurate. And we've seen it with Joe Milton and his inconsistencies, but he was able to run the ball effectively. And then Nico, again, you can chalk it up to him being a little bit younger. He was just figuring it all out. But the system is made for you to thrive in, and you didn't. And you expected to go and negotiate for more when your performance was the reason why Tennessee was even, like, in a lot of those ball games. You look at Arkansas. Like, Arkansas, no matter how you slice it up, the last play of the ball game, you have to give a receiver a chance instead of running the timeout and running out of bounds with 0 seconds left on the clock. Like, you have to throw it towards the end zone. That's just football IQ.
That wasn't the offense.
That's a Nico problem.
I was about to say, maybe you didn't like the play call, but I mean, you gotta.
You have to give somebody a chance.
I was about to say, you got to go for it at that point. All right, so quickly here. So last year, Tennessee had the third best offense in the SEC. They averaged over 35 points a game and 447 yards per game of offense. All right, so keep that in mind. 447 yards, 35.5 points per game last year. UCLA, they had the fourth worst offense in the Big Ten.
Oh, boy.
They averaged 328 yards per game and 18 points a game. So they averaged over 100 yards of offense less per game than Tennessee, and about half
of
the scoring average. But it's the offense.
But it's the offense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Just say it. Hey, the money that they were giving me, I thought I was worth a little bit more. They said no, we left. Simple as that. Like, now the PR and the damage control you got to do is just going to be insurmountable, because we know exactly what was going on. Just say it was a money grab and let the chips fall where they may. It happens, man. Like, they called your bluff, they pulled the card, and Tennessee will move on with or without you.
That they will, and that they have, as it appears right now. So we will continue to talk about this situation, keep you up to date. Again, it looks like Nico's going to be to UCLA. Now, big question is, who is going to end up at Tennessee? Who can Tennessee get out of the portal to bolster their quarterback room there? But y'all have been chiming in on the text line, 205-834-9450. So we'll get to a couple of those here quickly. Someone chiming in, he says, Tennessee would never bring Nico back. He wasn't showing up to do NIL stuff he was getting paid to do, and he was supposed to be a nightmare to deal with. This was reported last week. Yeah, I had read those reports about, essentially there were some stories about some situations, like, I guess, public appearances that he was supposed to make, and Nico's dad would hop on the phone with somebody and essentially tell him the business, and it would be, Nico's not doing this. He's going to go home now, and you're going to stop bothering my son. And that's, again, you're getting paid to do something. Look, I understand if you don't love making public appearances or things like that, that's perfectly fine, but you didn't have to go and be a college quarterback and get paid millions of dollars.
Thank you.
I don't feel sympathy for
this. Is also the same system that you were recruited in. Nothing's changed besides, okay, yeah, Alex Golesh left a couple years ago, but it's the same system you were watching when you were a recruit. Like, nothing changed.
Well, and so in that regard, right, you're basically admitting that you only went to Tennessee for the money then.
Exactly.
Because if you're saying, well, I never liked the offense, then why'd you go there?
Why? Thank you.
Doesn't make any sense. Let's see, someone chiming in from the state of Mississippi. They say, my biggest indictment of Nico is that with a running game as good as it was to take pressure off him, he still didn't put up great numbers. And that is a great point. And Damian brought that up yesterday.
Come on, man.
Let's see. Somebody says Nico is garbage with less to average talent. He's going to regret this whole situation. Yep. Let's see. Somebody says, fanboy text in, is he going to go to an easier conference to win, or should he go to the Big 12 or ACC instead? See, and this is what I said yesterday. If I'm Nico, I'm going to a group of 5 school. I'm absolutely lighting the world on fire. If you're as good as you think that you are, yeah, I'm going to go somewhere, take $1 million or, 750,000, whatever, take a pay cut, go to a group of 5 school, absolutely tear it up. And then this December, you get back in the portal and you either go to a big time school again and get your $3 million or whatever you want. Or at that point, you would also be eligible for the NFL draft. That's what I would do.
Yep. Hey, pull a Zach Calzada, go all the way to FCS, and absolutely set the world ablaze. And maybe you can work your way back to the SEC. Won't be at Tennessee, but hey.
I was about to say you need to put good tape out there.
That's it.
Because you need something for people to forget about all of this crap that's going on. And that's the way. I mean, I saw where Diana Rossini the other day was, she had a report out that, the NFL's already talking about this situation in terms of how are we going to handle this kid when the time comes for him to be an NFL draft prospect, because this makes everybody want to stay away. Like, this makes you untouchable in some people's eyes. It does. Like, this is the kind of situation that will straight up remove you from people's draft boards. They will completely take you off. It doesn't matter how much talent you have. It's crazy. Let's see. Someone says, talking about insider training, was Damian tipped off to Nico transferring?
No, I wasn't.
I think that one caught you off guard too.
It did. Hadn't heard anything. It was real quiet on Rocky Top until the day before the orange and white game.
Yeah, someone, Jamie texted in, he said, you just had to take a shot at Bama, didn't you, Damian?
I was just making sure you were reminded of the offense is not the issue.
He was making sure you were paying attention, Jamie.
Yeah, good
That's
job.
all it was.
Roll Tide nonetheless.
And yeah, a popular sentiment from yesterday, we have some of you saying Nico's dad is the new LeVar Ball.
Worse.
I'd say worse. I would say. And that's bad. That's not,
exactly.
That's not good. When we're having that conversation, Doug texted in, he says, based on 247's rankings, the recruiting for UCLA is somewhere in the mid 40s, whereas Tennessee is around the top 10 in recruiting. So just kind of showing you the difference of talent that he's going to have to work with there. Yes, John Mack, that is awesome. Yeah, John Mack says, did Damian just go Peter Griffin with his "What Grinds My Gears" segment? That's an old throwback to a very old Family Guy episode, and I respect that, John Mack. That's a good pull right there. So appreciate y'all chiming in on the text line 205-834-9450. You can continue to do so. We will continue to get your reaction to the Nico situation and everything going on around the transfer portal. But I promised you we would look at the top players top players in the transfer portal, and we are going to do that when we return. Keep it locked right here. Morning JOX, JOX 94.5. Welcome back in. Morning Jocks here. Conrad and Damien. Appreciate you spending your Thursday morning with us here. Macaron Cubic in the morning coming up at 7 o'clock. Then 3-man front coming your way at 10. And Paul Feinbaum with you at 2 p.m. here on JOX 94.5. So looking at the transfer portal and some of the top players available in the college football ranks, but quickly on the basketball front, you do have a little bit of news potentially for the Alabama Crimson Tide. As Jeff Goodman reported yesterday, one of the top portal players right now is Cedric Coward. He's a guard from Washington State, averaged almost 18 points a game, 7 rebounds per game last year, and shot 40% from the three-point line. He has said that Alabama is the leader right now for Cedric Coward, for him to transfer there. The other teams in contention for him, as he has announced it, are Florida, Duke, Kansas, and Washington. But Alabama trending in the right direction there for Cedric Coward. That would be a massive get, especially with some of the departures that Alabama's had at the guard spot. So that would be a nice addition for them. You do have Florida, your defending national champions. They pick up a big commitment yesterday, and former Princeton point guard Xavier Lee, he averaged 17 points a game, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists last year there in the Ivy League. So a nice pickup there for Florida as they look to replace Walter Clayton Jr., who took them on that magical run. So that's a little bit of what's going on there on the basketball front. But now to the college football transfer portal. As I said, giving you some of the top players in the portal as it stands right now. So ESPN put together just a ranking based on, essentially all the people that have gone on the portal as of yesterday afternoon. And no surprise, the number one player overall is Nico. I think we all knew that just based on the quarterback position, the pedigree that he comes with, and it's the spring portal window. So now in the winter one, I wonder how he would have been viewed compared to a Carson Beck or a John Mateer or some of those other top tier quarterbacks. Would he still have been number one overall? Maybe, maybe not. But right now, Nico is the top player available in the portal according to ESPN. Then you have David Bailey, outside linebacker from Stanford. He is now going to Texas Tech. He is a part of their complete roster overhaul where they are just spending gobs of money there in Lubbock. And so that's a big addition for them. But he is an upcoming senior who spent his time there at Stanford. So has a lot of experience bringing that there to Texas Tech. At number 3, you have Jaden Ott, the running back from Cal, who we talked about yesterday. He is now headed to Oklahoma. So a big addition there for the Sooners, as you can see. Definitely the best running back that was still available in the portal. At number 4, you have Bo Atkinson, an edge rusher from North Carolina. He was a redshirt sophomore last year, so he's got a couple years of eligibility left. But he had 7.5 sacks, 12 tackles for loss last year for the Tar Heels. So that's certainly somebody that's going to draw a lot of attention. You have Joe Cotton next. He is an offensive tackle from South Dakota. And this is somebody that I know Alabama is in the mix for, looking to bring him in for depth. I know there's some thought that maybe he could compete with Formby at one of the tackle spots, but it would definitely be a big depth addition there for Alabama. But he is the offensive lineman from South Dakota. So he's up there. You have Gio Lopez, the quarterback from South Alabama, who's a redshirt freshman. He was incredible last year, had over 3,000 yards of offense, 25 total touchdowns, only 7 turnovers, and really, had a nice surprising season for a South Alabama team that, after losing Kane Walmick, had to put some things back together. And so that was, he's certainly a special player, and he's been linked to North Carolina so far. You have Trevor Pena, the wide receiver from Syracuse. He led the ACC last year with 84 catches. He had 940 yards and 9 touchdowns last year. So that's the top receiver available in the portal. And actually, his head coach had some interesting comments yesterday about that situation of him entering the transfer portal, because Fran Brown said, quote, "If you're going to make $2 million at wide receiver, well, that's the homie at Ohio State. I'm not giving any wide receiver $2 million in college football."
Hey, preach.
I respect that.
Exactly. He ain't there to play around.
No, no. Fran Brown is certainly not there to play around.
Nah.
But yeah, so he's the top available wide receiver. Here, rounding out the top 10, you have Jack Indries, the tight end from Cal. I know he is, I believe he's going for a visit at Texas soon, if I'm not mistaken. So he's one of the top available pass catchers there as well. At number 9, you have Elo Mendoza, a linebacker out of Army. Maybe this is somebody that Auburn takes a look at because, as we heard from Hugh Freeze, that is certainly a position that Auburn would like to shore up, would be the linebacker spot. So maybe a target there for Hugh Freeze and Auburn. And then you have TJ Bush, a defensive end from Liberty. So maybe another guy that Hugh Freeze has some familiarity with a little bit. He has 2 years of eligibility left there, but he had 5.5 sacks, 9.5 tackles for loss last year, was a second-team All-Conference USA player last year. So that could be maybe another landing spot there potentially for Auburn. And just looking through this list, and as we've talked about with the quarterback position, as you've noticed, at the top was Nico. And I'm scrolling here, and there's not another quarterback. And I say that for Tennessee and the standpoint of this just kind of shows you again. I mean, Josh Heupel went out on a little bit of a limb here, and I understand that, some people say, oh, well, this was the obvious decision. And I get that, yes, in an ideal world, this is the obvious decision, but he also, he wants to stay employed, right? He doesn't want Tennessee to have any reason to, consider making a change at head coach. And I don't think that they're in any sort of position or he's on any sort of hot seat. But I mean, essentially, he could be sacrificing a year of his career to make a stand against Nico and do what he thinks is best for this program and for college football as a whole. And so we're going to have to see. But somebody's going to have to go in the portal that's not in there right now, or things are going to be rough for Tennessee looking at the transfer portal. Because, again, Gio Lopez, I guess, would be the next name on there. And maybe that's a guy that you go after, but he's been connected other places. I haven't heard anything about Tennessee kind of kicking those tires. So it's going to be interesting to see how things progress here over the next couple of weeks. Again, the transfer portal remains open until next Friday, so we still have a ways to go. But all right, 205-834-9450. Y'all keep texting in. Continue to chime in there. We will get to your text messages. But quickly, let's go to the phone lines here. Poe has been waiting on patiently. I know he wants to talk about Nico. How are we doing this morning, Poe?
Man, Damian Mitch Conrad, what's happening, my friend?
What's happening, homie?
Man, ain't nothing. Look at here. Man, my son and me, this is all we talk about. We're gonna come out to Social Taco with man eventually once he get out of college. He's at UAB and now he's doing real good. So once his college is over, we're gonna try to get out there and come out there and see everybody.
Very nice.
But my thing is this, man, is Nico, man, when he ran out that ball against Arkansas, I was fussing at him then. But just some reason, I can't pronounce his last name. I call him Nico Amaliva because I don't know what his last name is pronounced, man. But Damian Mitch, brother, you said everything right. Conrad, you said everything right, too. NFL ain't going to want Damian Mitch. You letting everybody know it's not the system, dude. It's you. It's
exactly.
You, Nico. It's you. Then his father, man, and this is for people that watch. We all call in. We all watch sports. So this is for everybody that watch sports, done seen the game and understand what it is. It's not Coach Heupel in Tennessee, man. The system is good. I like Tennessee myself. You know what I'm saying? It's the quarterback, homeboy. When he did what he did against Arkansas that year, man, dude, I was done with him then. I knew he wasn't good then. And his father-wise, he need to get somewhere because he done gave his son bad advice, dude. Like, his son literally got bad advice. You haven't done anything, Nico, to show Poe or any other college football fan around this country that you is worth $4 million. And I'm going to stand with Coach Hype on this one, Conrad. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I see what you're saying. You're saying you're right. Yeah, he made that sacrifice. But at some point, Conrad, you got to be like, hey, I'm gonna stand behind this. I'm gonna coach me up another quarterback, but I'm not gonna give Nico this $4 million because he haven't proved to us. So I'm gonna stand behind Coach Heupel, man. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna stand behind Tennessee and let them know, hey, do what y'all do, man. Handle your business. SEC, your boy Poe, Mississippi State fan, but I still love y'all. I love Coach Heupel. I want to see them do good. I want to see you take a stance on what you're supposed to do and let everybody know that if you're a player like Nico, you want more money, you ain't showed none of us this or that. What you're supposed to do, you garbage and you horrible. Hey, man, we don't love you. Peace out.
That's what I'm talking about right there, Poe. Thank you for the call, man. That was good stuff right there. I can't top that. So keep your text rolling in, 205-834-9450. We'll continue to hear from you when we return and put a bow on things here on Morning JOX.
6:51 here on Morning Jocks. Jocks 94.5. Damian Mitchell alongside Conrad Van Order. Y'all know what time it is. Actually, might be a little bit later, but I know how to help you out. That's our friends at Blue Chew. And by now, you know Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, Levitra in chewable form at a fraction of the cost. So what are you waiting for? Blue Chew is performance enhancement for the bedroom that can help men gain extra confidence when it's time to perform. It's an online prescription service, so you don't have to worry about going to the doctor, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy because it ships right to your door. And speaking of shipping, how about you get free? Go to bluechew.com and get your first month free when you use our promo code JOX. That's JOX at checkout. Just pay $5 for the shipping. That's bluechew.com. Promo code JOX to receive your first month free. Let Blue Chew's licensed medical providers work with you to find the right ingredient and strength for your prescription. And again, it's at a fraction of the cost, has the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, and it'll help you out. You go from have like a little Barry Bonds thing. You might be a fine tool player early on. You need a little boost, need a little performance enhancement, get you some of that Blue Chew, and then you'll be setting records like he did back in the day for the San Francisco Giants. So go to bluechew.com, use promo code JOX at checkout, get your first month free, and remember, just chew it and do it.
Back to the Courtesy GMC text line we go, 205-834-9450. Appreciate all of you chiming in throughout the morning here. So we have somebody texting in. They say Nico's really going to regret everything because not only is he listening to bad advice, it's also coming out that he didn't fulfill his other functions other than football and also was not a great teammate. So I will say I have heard the same thing about, the public appearances and not, fulfilling all of his duties. I have heard, though, that he is actually, from everybody that I've heard that's been around the program and been around Nico, everybody says he was a great teammate and that everybody loved him. He's a great guy. He's a great kid. And I've just been hard pressed to find people that legitimately have negative things to say about Nico. It is typically around the situation and the influence of the people in his life, but everybody says with him himself as an individual that they're all blown away by him and everybody loves him. So I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that part. Let's see. Someone says, I live for Damian's Blue Chew commercial every morning. Well, you're going to get it every morning.
Hey, just go to bluechew.com and get your first month free, man. I'm trying to help you out, my brother. Hey, Yeah, hey, ask your significant. Hey, try it for a month, then ask your significant other how everything's working, man. I'm just I'm here for the people.
That's right. Somebody texted in, he says, Zach Calzado isn't going to save Mark Stoops' job.
There's nobody can.
No.
He had Will Levis at quarterback. It's fine.
Let's see. Gio Lopez. Someone says Gio Lopez very similar to Pavia. That could make Tennessee interesting if they try to beat out the Tar Heels. That's from Bo in Haleyville. And look, I think Gio Lopez is a really nice player. I haven't heard Tennessee, kind of kicking the tires on him, but who knows? Let's see. Somebody says, no way he's a great teammate. You wouldn't leave your team hanging. That's a horrible teammate. And I understand it from that standpoint. I'm just telling you from people that have been around the program and seen him interact with his teammates, everybody liked him. But I understand where you're coming from. Yes, it would be hard to stomach that. And I think some people that probably did think he was a good teammate maybe now would have a different opinion on that. Let's see. Steven says maybe Josh Heupel's just planning to suit up and go out there under center next year for the Volunteers.
Yeah, I think his best years are behind him as far as playing.
Yeah. Let's see. Paul says, I wonder if Tennessee would go after Austin Mack in the portal. I would think not, because he would not be able to play this fall. He would have to sit out and he wouldn't be eligible until next year. So I would think he would, for both parties, they would probably go in a different direction. Smokey says, is it just possible Nico couldn't grasp the Tennessee playbook? It was too complicated for him. I've heard that because I have heard from a lot of people that Heupel's playbook is quite complex, and maybe that was part of the situation there. Yeah, someone says Nico sounds like a good kid and teammate. His dad's just living through him too much. Yeah,
yep.
That is how it is. Well, appreciate you chiming in there throughout the morning. McElroy and Kublik in the morning. Those guys are next.